Alright, I want to talk about flashbacks in anime and why they almost always suck. So, this is basically completely unscripted. I just finished watching episode 8 of Swordsmith Village arc of Demon Slayer. It was like 95% flashback. It was all flashback. And it was a really boring episode. Okay? It just happens sometimes. Out of the action that is taking place currently in the show, we just watched like 2 minutes of action happen over the course of 20 minutes. All because from like 30 seconds of action to like 32 seconds of action, there was like 20 minutes flashback. And it's really annoying. Here's why. Anime likes to do this all the time. Anime always does this. Some characters about to die in an impossible situation. Oh my gosh, no. Life flashes before their eyes, and we get like their entire life story. An extremely long flashback. And 90% of the flashback is useless garbage information that will not pertain to or affect the story outcome in any way. It is completely garbage info. That's annoying. That's really boring. And I'm kind of wanting to make a video about this because I feel like this happens all the time. And when I went onto YouTube to validate my own feelings about this by watching other videos that will complain about the same stuff, right? I didn't really find any. I found like joke shorts making the jokes of how like a character is like losing, but then they have a flashback of this one traumatic event that happened to them as a child. So then boom, now they're stronger and then they win. I found those, but I want constructive like criticism and thought as to why this is garbage. This does not work well. This is terrible storytelling. It's not interesting, and it just feels like I'm being robbed of my enjoyment and time when I see shows do this, when I see writers do this. So, more specifically, what am I talking about? I would say spoilers for the episode ahead, but at the same time, like the info I'm about to give you was so minuscule and worthless, like it literally doesn't matter. I'm about to give you the entire summary of the episode in like less than a minute. You could probably skip watching the episode after I tell you this. But basically, the episode was we come back to a character who just got out of like this little water prison jutsu, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term. He busts out, and the villain's not paying any attention to him, so he basically has time on his hands right now. But smaller demons come out of the forest, and he was hit by these needle attacks. So he's like, he says he's beginning to feel numb and paralyzed, and like he can barely move. And these demons start to run at him with weapons. They're about to kill him, and he can't move. And then they zoom in on his eyes, and his eyes get all like the quivering thing like this. They do that thing, and then boom, flashback. We're like 2 minutes into the episode. Flashback begins, and we see him when he's 10 years old. We see like 3 minutes of him just walking around watching his dad cutting down trees. And then he says, "I liked helping my dad cut down trees. That's right. My dad was a lumberjack." Okay. So we find out that his dad was a lumberjack. Then we meet his mom. His mom's really sick. What does she do? Well, she's a mom. So we find out dad is a lumberjack, mom is sick. Through his mom being sick and like basically about to die, his dad went out to look for herbs to try and help cure her during a thunderstorm or whatever. It was like really dangerous. Typhoon, hurricane. He ends up oh, I can't quite reach them, and he's on a ledge, and it's okay, well, he's obviously gonna slip, fall, and die. So of course he does, and then his mom also dies because she doesn't get better. So in the same night, he loses his parents. So then he's like, oh, I was alone at 10 years old. Wait, that's wrong. I had a twin brother. So now, okay, now this guy also has a twin brother. His twin brother is an absolute a-hole. Like, just looks down on himself and his brother, says like they're worthless, they can't do anything, that kind of thing. But it's not in a pitiful way. It's more like in a way that's like aggressive. Like, he's abusive about the fact, at least verbally abusive. And he doesn't condone like optimism and wanting to help others, because he thinks that since his dad died trying to help his mom, and her mom also died, he's upset that his dad didn't listen to him about, you shouldn't go out in the middle of this storm to try and help mom, you should just let her go. But he didn't. So he died and the mom died. Now they're living together, just the two of them. Eventually one day, surprise, they get attacked by a demon, and the a-hole brother gets his arm chopped off. He ends up dying of blood loss. Okay, but in the process, like, you find out through this event, he's like, suddenly I was enraged. It just all came out of me at once. Like, he had a bunch of suppressed emotions of how much of an a-hole his brother was, and how he didn't feel useless, but his brother always told him that they were useless and they were just lumberjacks, so that's all they should do. It all came out at once, and the next thing he knew, the demon was on the ground. So basically, we find out he has a berserk mode, and he just absolutely destroyed this demon. Cool. The flashback ends. And now, remember, he was just, before this flashback started, he had his life flashing before his eyes because he was numb, he could not move his body, and demons were about to come kill him. Suddenly, now that he's had his entire life flash before his eyes, he goes, oh yeah, I'm actually completely fine now, and I'm even better than I was 2 seconds ago. And I don't mean like I feel better, I mean like I fight better. I literally move faster than I used to. Through a 2-second, like, real life long flashback, I am now stronger. What the heck? Why? First of all, this sucks. This is just garbage, because you write your character into a corner. Oh my gosh, my character's about to die. He's surrounded by enemies and he's paralyzed and he can't move, and now they're right about to stab him. So what happens? Well, I'm gonna play you this 20-minute long flashback where you find out dad was lumberjack who died, mom was mom who died, little brother was an a-hole who also died via demon attack. Once that happens, we learn that he has a berserk mode. Dude joins Demon Slayer Corps. Okay, that was the flashback, and that was 20 minutes long. Once that ended, he goes from I can't move to like completely owning the scene. Except we only watch him do this for a grand total of like 3 more minutes, and then the episode ends, and that was it. And I am okay that this was an episode, because I understand animation and shows only have so much budget. So when you get a high action episode and really dope animations, that was an extremely high budget episode, and because that one was so great, more than likely there will be others down the line that will very much be calmer, won't have as much action, won't have as much unique animation techniques. Like, it will be something like I just described to you, a 20-minute flashback of nothing serious going on, absolutely no action. I get it. I totally understand. What I hate about it, anime writers use flashbacks as a way to tell you who this character is once you should know who the character is. Like, as the character is about to die, they decide the character should have a flashback so you can know the character and feel sorry for them if they're about to die, actually. Why don't you build the character as I meet them and get to know them through experiences, instead of just having this character be this blah on the screen that is good at a certain thing, or oh, he's really skilled, and then he ends up meeting an opponent who's better than him at whatever he's skilled at. Now he's about to die, so you get a flashback that lays out, this is why you should care that this guy's about to die, this is why you should feel sad, but wait, he's not dead, so it's a really triumphant moment. And it's like, it just feels so cheap. It's the classic, like, these guys are villains, right? It was like the end of the entertainment district arc or whatever. It was like the two demons are finally about to die, and we got like a whole episode of like flashbacks of them, and it's like, why should we feel sad for the demons who've been alive for like 160 years just slaughtering and eating and killing people or whatever? It's like, why should we feel sorry for these demons? Like, we met them as demons, as villains, we fought them as demons, as villains, and now that they're dead and dying, we are revealed info as to why we should feel sorry for them. Why are we following this formula? This sucks. What if we actually built up to meeting the villain and like seeing the villain, knowing who he is, who they are even, and understand their motivation and get that like this is why the villain is this way. And then, now that we know the villain's motivation and the character's motivation, we, the audience, can decide which one we think is more powerful and why, like, certain things should happen certain ways or do happen certain ways. Instead, we just get, like, great fight scenes if the animation is good enough, and that's cool. But then, once everything is said and done, and one side is completely left out of the reason as to why this is taking place and who they are as characters, they receive no development other than, I'm really strong. Check out this new power I'm going to show you since you've upped your own ante. Like, they're dead and dying, so now we bring in, this is who they are, why you should care. And I just cheered for like 15 episodes for you to kill the guy. And I guarantee you, this was episode 8 of the Swordsmith Village arc. By episode 15 or 20 or however long this is supposed to be, I don't know. But when they finally kill these demons, because they're gonna die. If they don't, I will actually be surprised. Like, cool. If they don't, I would be surprised. But if these villains die, we're gonna get like 1 to 2 episodes of flashbacks and sad, like, traumatic stories of the demons and their life and how they became demons. But I just spent the last 15 episodes waiting for Tanjiro to finally slice the head off, like, waiting for him, cheering him on, hoping he finally gets the opportunity to do it and does it and becomes that much more of a badass. So I would cheer that on for 15 episodes, and then you're going to tell me why I should be sad that the guys that I was just hoping died for 15 episodes died? Like, it's just a really stupid, like, story device that they use, and I don't get why. It's not good. It's not cool. Like, I don't know. It's really weird. But for an example of actual good flashbacks and storytelling, I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You can't see it, but I have a display of Zuko and Mei up on my wall. They're really cool. You can see the in the background. I can't with the camera, but it's right here. My Avatar CD collection. But anyways, episode, I think it's 7 of season 1 is called The Storm. This is the episode where we see the flashbacks for Zuko and Aang, and like why Aang ran away and why Zuko was banished. First of all, we learn early on in the show that Zuko was banished, and we see his scar, and like the way it's hinted at and like talked about, we understand that the scar is due to his banishment or something to do with it. right? But we don't know Zuko's backstory. We just know he's the antagonist. He has a weird bald ponytail head, and he's kind of annoying and a bit of a dick. Like, that's all we know about Zuko. Aang is our main character, and everyone's supposed to love him, and he's a 12-year-old kid, and we know that he was trapped in an iceberg for 100 years, and so he's technically 112. This episode reveals how Aang got trapped in the iceberg, the choices he made that he kind of regrets, and like sits in the back of his mind about how he completely abandoned his people and tried to abandon the idea of being the Avatar and what that caused. And since he was trapped in ice for 100 years, it's like, holy crap, this is bad, right? And he knows that's on him, right? Now we also have, and this is where my main point is going, Zuko's flashbacks. Except it's not Zuko having the flashback, it's Uncle Iroh telling the ship crew, like, the story, Zuko's flashback. He's telling them Zuko's flashback. And basically goes on to let the crew know, and be like, look, I understand my nephew can be difficult, and that he's a bit of an a-hole, but that's not really who he is. He is that way, and he's so obsessed with finding the Avatar, because his dad burned his face and banished him because he showed compassion for not wanting to send in a freshly new recruited battalion of soldiers into battle as bait for a battle strategy. He didn't want to send fresh new recruits to their deaths, right? He abruptly opposes this idea in a war room, so he speaks out of turn. Then, because he did that in the Fire Lord's war room, the Fire Lord is who he ends up having to challenge to an Agni Kai. He doesn't really register that, so he, surprisingly to him, ends up fighting his dad in an Agni Kai, to which he refuses to do. He gets on his knees, begs for forgiveness, and says that he meant you no disrespect. He is, like, it's not even like he's a coward. He's like, oh no, please, I mean no disrespect. It was like he was willing to fight for what he believed in and what he thought was good and true and like all this stuff, and it was a good idea, something he should have been fighting for. But when he saw that it was his dad that he would be fighting, he immediately was like, I can't fight my dad, that's effed up. Like, that's kind of like, I shouldn't raise my hand against my own father, right? But because he doesn't, his dad's like, cool, now I have a reason to burn your face and banish you so I never have to talk to you again, because it would be a little too much to kill my own son in front of everybody. So I'm just going to banish you instead. And the crew members that are being told this information are like, hold up. So you're telling me that it wasn't a training accident, but that his father deliberately, the Fire Lord, the guy making me fight this war, deliberately burned his son on the face and then banished him because he spoke out of turn in objection to a battle strategy that would essentially send dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of new recruits to the army to their death. That's what he got banished for? So it's like, no wonder why he doesn't actually care about or act like he doesn't care about the health of his crew, because the last time he cared about the health of people who were soldiers, he got banished for it. He got burned on the face, right? And then this also tells you people of the Fire Nation don't even know why Zuko got banished. They just know he got banished. They also don't know that the Fire Lord, his own dad, is the one that put the scar on his face deliberately, right? It wasn't some kind of accident. It wasn't like an event that happens, oh, is Prince Zuko okay? No, like, his dad effed him up on purpose and then kicked him out the house. All for being a good guy, right? And so we're shown like the ruthlessness of the Fire Lord, who's the big bad, overarching big bad of the entire show. So we get a hint as to who the Fire Lord is as a person. He's a dick. We're told why Zuko is so hellbent on capturing the Avatar, why he is the way he is, why he's bald. We have insight as to like where his scar came from now. We know the story. That's character development. That's storytelling. That's world building. As we now know, the Fire Nation doesn't even know what's going on in the Fire Nation palace. Like, they have no idea. Their own prince was banished and scarred for life by his dad, and they have no idea that those two go together. Like, so anyways, I made this video because there was a comment on the website that I watched the show on that basically was like, someone simply commented boring, and then someone defended the fact that it was a good episode and blah, 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 blah. And not everything has to be action. It's like, well, not everything that isn't action has to be boring. It can be good, right? So if you think anime flashbacks and animes are BS and like full of it and are garbage and are filler, but would wish that they would actually tell decent and interesting story, and they didn't use flashbacks the way that they do use flashbacks because it's stupid. If you think that, let me know in the comments below, but also like share this video out. This is not a high quality video. Let's start the conversation. Let's get a whole bunch of other videos talking about how bullshit these flashbacks are and how stupid they are and that they need to do better, because this is just garbage, and I'm just so annoyed by it every single time. I just wasted I spent more quality time. I'm at 23 minutes. Spent more quality time making this video, complaining about a 20-minute video I watched that was an episode of an anime that was just filler flashback garbage. And then someone had the audacity to call it good. Like, it could have been, like, sure, if you found it interesting, okay. But like, this was garbage storytelling. There was no character development like they claimed it was. We found out he had a berserker mode. That's it. Like, everything else we found out is the fact that his entire family's dead. And that was it. So we find out he has dead family members and then he goes berserk. Where's the character development? I still don't know this guy. I don't even remember what his name is. I think it's Marichiro or something. Like, that's it. That's all I know. That's not character development. It's not very good storytelling. The flashback was 20 minutes of screen time, but the in-show time, right? So outside of this guy's flashback, the world progressed 4 minutes over 20 minutes of animation. That's like, yeah, that's boring. Yeah, I hit 25 minutes now. That's the end. Go ahead, like, subscribe. I will never be posting regularly. This was a random thing, but you never know. You might get another one from me.